All right. Hi guys. Good afternoon. I hope you are able to see me, hear me, and also see the screen. So yes, let's get started with the session today. And for this particular session, there is no recap needed. There is no refresher because, like I have told you, from today onwards, for the next three sessions, we are going to focus on building the entire project from scratch, right? So we'll start with a blank file, and I'll guide you step by step as to how you have to create your own project. And also, so I'll create a project parallelly so that I implement or I explain everything, in a quick way. Of course, we have covered it in detail already. We have talked about React also, Express also, MongoDB also. We have already covered all of this. But since you have to build a project, right, what I am going to do is I'm going to start everything from scratch for one last time in this training. And I'm going to show you how to set everything up step by step. Now, before we get started, a couple of quick instructions here for you, right? The very first thing is that whatever I'm going to code now, I will not be giving it to you because you have to create your own code, right? So from this session onwards, there is not going to be any update on the GitHub repository. Sure, I will update the links of the recordings because we have made sure this is being recorded. YouTube Live is already started, right? And I will also give you the presentations. I'll give you everything else. But the code is something that I will not be able to share because, again, you have to build it on your own, right? So you can refer to all the previous code. What we write will also be, more or less the same, but you can find all the previous code already in the repository. Again, I'll show you where the project report is and all of that, but a couple of quick instructions for you. So the very first thing is it does not really matter at this point whether you have a topic chosen. It does not really matter at this point whether you have your teammates selected. All of that is not going to matter. Okay. You have to pay very close attention to everything that I am showing you, because no matter when you start working on the project, no matter who your teammates are, no matter what your project abstract is, you will have to follow all of these steps. Okay. Project is mandatory. Obviously, it's a part of the internship. So that is your submission. So yes, it is mandatory for you to create. Again, no matter when you start this, the timelines are already shared with you. I'm sure the team must have sent out. We have sent out forms for project selection. We have sent out forms for team selection. So now it is up to you. Okay, we have done everything from our side. We also have, all the setup in place to grade and, give you marks for your projects and everything. So I'll talk about the submission part later in the third session. I'll tell you how you're supposed to submit your projects and all of that. But I've also told you that there are two things that you have to create. The first thing that you have to create is a project report, which will be submitted to your universities, right? So this is something that every university will expect. So you have to create it. And then, of course, the second thing is going to be the output of the project. Okay. So these are the two things that we'll be focusing on. I will guide you step by step regarding the project. The grand test that you're talking about, right, is that you will be having it tomorrow. So there is going to be a test tomorrow. It is going to last for 2 hours. The test will contain MCQs plus coding questions. Okay. It will contain MCQs plus coding questions. So it will be a combination of them. Mostly there will be 17 MCQs and 3 coding questions, something around that. So you'll have MCQs plus coding questions, and the timing will be 2 hours. Okay. I think you will be able to choose the time. You can give it anytime during the day tomorrow. But again, the team will reach out to you for that. Okay. What I am going to focus on is the project itself. Again, I'm going to repeat this one more time and then I'll start with the project. It does not really matter if you have received the abstract or not. It does not really matter if you have submitted your team details or not, because we have shared the form, we have shared the project details, we have shared everything with you. So if the submissions have not come in, we really can't help it. Okay, you have to submit that soon. But irrespective of all of that, what we are going to do is to build a project. What you are required to do is also to build a project, right? So doesn't really matter if you have submitted things, doesn't really matter if you have not, doesn't really matter if you have received the mail, doesn't really matter if you have not. The idea is we are going to build a project together in the next 3 sessions. Okay. We are going to build a project together in the next 3 sessions. You can follow the same approach for whatever project you are going to build in the future. It could be for submission of this internship. It could be you make a college project. It could be you build something on your own. Doesn't really matter. The point is what we have to learn or understand in the next 3 sessions is how do we combine all technologies and put them together in a project. Okay, so how are we going to put everything together, right? How are we going to put everything together? How do we combine MongoDB with Express and React? That is the whole point. Okay, so Rakesh, this is the YouTube live from YouTube live. I have repeated the entire MongoDB part in session 21. So please refer to session 21's recording if you are looking for the MongoDB part. Okay, I have already repeated it in session 21. Unfortunately, due to some technical difficulties, the recording of session 20 is not available. So whatever we covered in session 20, I have already repeated that in 21. Okay, so please check it from there, right? Coming back to the question on a grand test. So again, the details will be shared with you soon. As far as I know, it is going to be tomorrow and it is going to contain 20 to 25 questions, which will be a combination of multiple choice questions plus coding questions. So the MCQs will also be related to web development. And of course, the coding questions will also be related to web development. So expect one question around JavaScript, one question around React, and one question around everything. So a combination of everything. Okay, there'll be 3 questions like that. And the timing, you will have about 2 hours for this. Okay, so yes, I hope I have answered all your questions. Regarding the assignment details, again, right, the team will reach out to you if you have problems with the assignment links, no problem. The team will reach out to you in case the submissions have not been received. Okay, so for all of that, again, you can reach out to the support team. We are going to start working on the project and we'll go ahead with that, right? Regarding the submission, again, like I said, submission of the abstract, submission of the report, submission of the project as well. I'll tell you about it in the last session. So that will be on Friday, right? So Friday, I will tell you everything you need to know in terms of how are you supposed to submit the project. Okay. For now, what we are focusing on is building the project. Okay, let's discuss that. I will also tell you step by step how to create the project report as well. We'll start by talking about the project report. Then I'll show you my abstract, the one that I'm going to follow. And then we are going to start working on the abstract. We are going to start working on the code. Okay, so now let us get started with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen again. And first of all, I'm going to show you where the entire this thing is, the sample report is. Okay. So if you go to the repository, again, if you go to the repository, it is under session 10. So for everybody who still does not have links to the repository, I am putting them in the chat. Please make sure you save this link. I am not going to share it again. Please make sure you you save this link. If you're not able to copy the link, please open it in the browser by clicking on it and bookmark it or copy it from there. Okay. If you're not able to get the link directly from the chat, please take a screenshot of what you see on the screen. Okay. This is the link right here. Please don't tell me that you do not have link. I have shared it in every single session and this is 22nd session. So I have shared it at least 22 times. Okay. So please make sure you have the links with you. I hope everybody has it now. Once you open the link, you have to open session 10. Under session 10, you have the sample project report. Okay. So when you go to the repository, it will look something like this. Now within this repository, what you need to do is open session 10. Session 10 has the clear title project top. When you open this session, you will find the sample report over here. Okay, click on the sample report. It will be a PDF document. You can download it directly. I'm going to refer to directly from here itself. But if you want to, you can also download it directly. Okay. So everything in the document is visible directly on GitHub also. And there's a download button on the right hand side. You can just click on this download raw file and you can see immediately it will download the PDF for me. Okay, so I've given you the sample report. I've told you where it is. I've told you how to access it and how to download it. Okay, now coming to the starting point of the project. You start the project with the project abstract. Okay, with the project abstract. So even if you see in this very report, the very first thing that is written in the table of contents, the very first thing that we have here, right, is called the project abstract right here. Okay, right here. The very first thing in the report is project abstract. Okay, again, the recording is going to be available. Please watch it later, but I cannot repeat so many things again. So for people who have just joined, please go through the recording later on. Okay, so the very first thing that you see in this document is the abstract. And this is the starting point of the project, right? Once you receive the abstract or once you have the abstract with you, then you can start working on the report as well as the project. Okay. Now, when it comes to the project report, the next thing that we have to focus on is this introduction section. So if you see, the first part here is project aims and objectives. The second part is background of project. The third part is operation environment. So what I recommend that you do is you follow these indexes exactly. Okay, so try to follow the exact table of contents as it is. And then of course, replace it with your own project details. Okay, you can see this document itself is about 80 pages or so. You don't have to make so much bigger document, but 50 to 60 pages, it will go. When you put all the screenshots, you put all the descriptions, it will go up to 50 pages easily. Okay. Now, this is what the abstract looks like in the document. Again, this is not your abstract. This is not the project that you are supposed to build. This is just a sample. Okay, so the abstract will either be a single paragraph or a maximum of 2 to 3 paragraphs long. It will talk to you about what the problem statement is and what is the solution to that problem statement. Okay, it will talk to you about what the problem statement is, which is what are you supposed to build, as well as it will tell you what is the current scenario. So you can see it says maintenance of information. Here, maintenance of information is a very complex task. So we have to basically make it online. It is designed to computerize and automate the operations. Again, this is just an example. This is not your final abstract. That will depend on the topic that you have chosen for the project, right? Now, the next thing that I will show you is a sample abstract, which I have created for the project that I am going to build in the next 3 sessions. Of course, since we only have about 3 hours for this, I will not be able to build it entirely, but I will try to show you all the major steps. Okay, so let's switch to the abstract now. I have it in a document right here. Okay, so this is what your abstract should ideally look like. You have a small description of the project, and then you identify some key features of the project. Okay, so here you can see the first 3 things. So what we are building, this is something that I've already built before, right? I mean, I've built it in WordPress before, but now I will show it to you because I already have a wireframe for this, and then we'll go ahead and create it. Okay, so this is the project. The title here is a PHP or a Poetry House Party. This is an online platform for poetry lovers, right? So again, a brief description is written here. Then this talks about what it is. So this is basically a platform where we have virtual readings and workshops. So this is an interactive event session kind of a thing. And then you can see engage in collaborative projects, etc., etc. And then a little more like our platform is easy to use with simple navigation, etc., etc. Okay. So a brief description of the project. Basically, at the end of the day, after you read the abstract, you will be able to get a very good clarity, or you will get a very good clarity on what the project is about. Is it an e-commerce store? Is it a learning platform? Is it a a task management tool is it? What exactly is it? So in my case, it is an event platform. Okay. In my case, it is an event platform. Basically, what we have to do is we have to list events happening in different cities, and we have to give an option to book a ticket. Okay. That is what the entire project is about. So again, there will be authentication involved. There will be, event details involved. We will also create a backend for this from where we can add new events. So we'll create a database, a backend and front end, the whole thing. Okay. Now, in addition to this, try to also mention some key features when you have your own abstracts. The next step is to identify a few key features from the description that has been shared or that you have. So I can see here, I have written, as you can see here, I have written 5 features. Okay. The first is curated collection. So this is where the events are listed. Then interactive events. So these are virtual events. Then we have collaborative projects. Again, this is a virtual setting. Then user-friendly design, inclusivity, and diversity. So based on whatever is written here, based on the prompt that was given, I have written 5 key features. Out of this, we'll try to develop 3, 4 things. Like we'll create the event landing page, we'll create a database, and we'll try to create a backend for managing these events, like hide an event, show an event, that kind of stuff. Right? So we'll try to build all of that. Now, the next thing that you can do after you have the abstract with you is to work on the next 3 sections of the document, right? So the first section here is aims and objectives. So here, based on these key features and based on the abstract, you can write this down. So the project aims and objectives are so and so and so. Right? So this is something for you to write. You can use some tools for this, right? There are tools that will help you write these kind of things. For instance, there is ChatGPT. For instance, if you're using Google Docs, you can use Gemini. If you're using a Windows machine, you can use Copilot. There are different tools available for this, right? So you can use those, but make sure that whatever you write is relevant for your project. We don't want random aims and objectives that don't match the abstract. Okay. So based on this abstract, we can go ahead and come up with some aims and objectives. That is going to be your next step. After you come up with the aims and objectives, then you can utilize the abstract or rephrase the abstract to come up with the background of the project. Okay. After you have the aims and objectives, you can elaborate a little bit more on them, or you can utilize the abstract to come up with a background of the project. So if you remember the abstract that was shared here, it is very clearly said that offline maintenance of data is very difficult, and that is why we are switching to the online version, right? So if you just notice the description down here, in the background, it will match. You can see it refers to library systems, which are generally small. It is used by librarian to manage the library using a computerized system. So we are basically just giving a background here. Okay, we're giving a background of the project. Again, this is something for you to write. Once you've written this down, then the next thing is the details of your system. Okay, so whatever laptop you're using, the operating system, and the memory requirements. Now here we are not talking about memory requirements in terms of system requirements, but for the application, how much memory do you need? So since we are creating a web application, we don't really need to mention these things. We don't need to mention operating system. We don't need to mention processor. We don't need to mention memory, and we don't need to mention hard disk as well. What you need to mention is the database, and you can also mention browser. You can put another title called web browser. Okay. So web browser, you can mention the supported browsers. All standard browsers will be supported. You can mention those. Okay. So this is the details that you will mention. Right. So this is, again, like I said, this is a sample report. You have to make changes to it. So I recommend you start with a blank file like I have, and then you build it up one by one. Okay. So I've given you a brief idea of the entire section 1 here. I've told you how to come up with the abstract. I've then told you based on that abstract how to figure out the other 3 things. Okay, this is something that we have decided on, or we now know. So at this point, you should be able to create a document, get your abstract in place. Then based on that abstract, identify your aims and objectives, Based on that, come up with a brief background and also specify the operating environment. Okay, this is done. What I typically recommend you do when you start working on this as a team is split this task. Split this task amongst your team members. Don't do it in a way that one person is doing the entire report, the other person is doing the entire code. Don't do it that way. Why? Because honestly, you will not be able to learn anything in that way, right? So make sure everybody contributes to the report, make sure everybody contributes to the code, and make sure everybody gets to work with front end, back end, and database. See, this is a learning opportunity for you, right? So try to make sure that you get to learn everything. You get to participate in everything. Okay. So whenever you split your team members, always split them in such a way, or whenever you divide tasks amongst your team, always divide it in such a way that everybody gets to do everything. Okay, everybody gets to do everything, right? So again, if I quickly show this to you once again, the introduction bit basically is just a brief elaboration, or rather a brief description of what we already have in the abstract. So that's where the aims and objectives come from the key features. So if you remember this, the key features, these are going to be your primary aims and objectives, right? Then once you have them, the next thing that you have is the background. So this is again coming from the abstract itself. Just read the abstract, understand the situation or the scenario that the project is talking about. That will give you the background of the project. And then in the case of the operating system details, you don't have to mention these things: no processor, no operating system, no memory, no hard disk. Mention the database. In our case, it is going to be MongoDB, right? Obviously. So MongoDB. And also mention other technologies like front end, what are you using? Back end, what are you using? Things like that. So you can mention front end and mention back end. You can also mention web browser. Which browser will be supported by your application. You can mention all the standard ones like Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, right? Then Microsoft Edge. These are some standard browsers that are supported by every React application. So you can just mention some of these as well, right? So these are the project details that you will mention. Okay, you will mention database. Then in front end, you will mention what technologies you have used, like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap. If you use Bootstrap, then mention React also. So whatever you use for front end, you can mention that. Okay. Similarly, you can also mention your backend. So that will be Express JS, it will be Node JS, and this is going to be our backend. And then if you use anything else like Passport JS for authentication, you use anything else for some other task, please mention that as well. So this is what your actual summary or your system requirements are going to look like. Again, you can take a quick screenshot here if you want. But again, these are the things that you have to mention over there. Okay, so the abstract goes within the project. This is from YouTube Live, a question by Yogeshwari. Yogeshwari, abstract, like I have told you, goes in the first page of the report. So the abstract will be within or inside your project report. Okay. Again, if you have a question, you guys, please don't raise your hands. Please type it in the chat and I will answer it. If you raise your hands, I can't help it. But if you type it in the chat, you will get an answer. Right? So please try to type your questions in the chat. Okay, perfect. I've repeated the entire thing one more time. So the first part is now done. Now at this point of time, you should have no confusion to create the first 8 pages of your report. Okay, based on whatever we have just discussed, you should now be able to create the first 8 pages of your report. Okay, so that is done. Now, the next thing that we are looking at is the system analysis part. This is the next step. Okay, so now based on the abstract and the key features that we have identified, we have to go ahead and make a list of all the things, all the features that are required in the system. Okay, so for this, I'm going to show you the output. Okay, and along with the output, we will match it against what we are going to build. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have software requirement specification. Let me first show you what that looks like, and then I'll tell you how to create it. So you can see software requirement specification. Okay, this is the section. It has a general description. Again, this is something for you to figure out. You can also skip the general description. Let me show you a better example of this. Yes. So then what we do is for every single feature, okay, for every single feature, we are going to mention a couple of things. Okay. For every single feature, we are going to mention a couple of things. I'm going to show you another example of this right now. Okay. So again, I'm going to open something up. Yes, I'm going to show you another sample document. This is something that I have created for a client of mine. I don't want you to copy this, just one small section, which is this one. Okay. So if you see here, what I have written under the system requirement specification is the first feature. Okay. This feature is user registration. As soon as we have user registration, what I have written here is the specific details. So this is the format in which I am expecting you to write your requirements. Okay. So again, you have to just mention what the feature is. In this case, it is user registration. And then we are going to go ahead and mention the specifics of this one by one. Okay. If I show you another example, let me scroll down to another feature. Okay, so now let us take this one for example. Okay, add categories and subcategories. So I've written two-line description. The users are not allowed to add a new category, right? The categories are divided into subcategories. So depending on whatever it is that we're trying to create, that you are trying to create based on the abstract, what you have to do is you have to write this down feature by feature. Okay, so I'll give you an example. Let us say that I am creating this website. This is my design. Okay, this is my wireframe. So let us say that this is an event platform. Okay. So one feature that I have here, for example, is about the event. Okay. As you can see this section, right? So this section, if I just highlight it for you, you can see this is about the event section, right? And what happens here are several details are already written, but these details will not be given in the abstract. So you can use some dummy data, or you can use your own, language, your own stuff to come up with this, right? So you will be told to create something like this. For example, about the event is the name of your feature, right? So if we head back to our SRS, okay, then you can see this instead of add categories and subcategories, we can have about the event. Then in one line, you can just write over here specifics. This section will have 6 items regarding the event, or this section will contain so and so and so. For example, if it is user authentication, we can write that this allows the user to log into the application or sign up to the application. You can see via Facebook and Google, sign up via LinkedIn, all the different options that you might provide. Okay, so this is really important. And again, I'll share this with you. Like I'll keep telling you how this works as in when we keep building the application. But the SRS section, the software requirement specification section in the report basically talks about every major feature that should be needed or that is required. That's why it's called software requirement. Every feature that is needed or required in the system is a requirement. So here we are specifying everything regarding features. So everything that your application will need. Again, typically I recommend that you come up with at least 10 features, assuming you have 5 people in the team, so that everyone gets to create 2 features. If you have 4 members in your team, make 8 features. If you have 5 members in the team, make 10 features. Okay, so that everybody should create at least 2 features. Okay, everybody should create at least 2 features, right? So that is going to be the setup. Mahesh, I did not understand the question. I've read it thrice, but I didn't understand that. What is the question actually? You are saying that you didn't get any new mails after completing the session. So what mail are you expecting? What do you need in the mail? That is the question. You haven't specified that, right? So yeah, I don't know how to answer that question. Um, Again, what email are you expecting, Mahesh, from IIDT team? What email are you expecting? That is what I'm asking you, right? So please let me know that, and accordingly I can help, right? So yes, again, per member, 2 features. If you have 3 members, make 6 features. If you're 4 members, 8 features. 5 members, 10 features. That will work. Okay. Uh, right. So again, the abstract submission details and all of that would have already been shared with you, right, from the team. I don't really have a clarity on that, so I can't help you with that. Sorry about that. Please reach out to the team for that. Your college point of contacts, the team POC, they will be able to help you with that. Okay. And yes. So there is one more question regarding the YouTube link for session 20. So again, session 20, we covered MongoDB, but unfortunately, due to some technical issues, we were not able to record it. Okay. So instead, what I have done is I have covered it again in session 21. So the MongoDB setup has already been repeated in session 21. So please watch the recording of session 21 instead, so that you will be able to figure out the record, the MongoDB setup part. So it has been repeated in the next session. So just skip that recording, go to the next one, and you will find MongoDB setup repeated over there. Okay, Mahesh, I've noted your question down. I will tell the team to check this out. I will tell them that you have not received emails and they'll hopefully check it. Okay, noted it down. I'll let them know. Yes, obviously it is compulsory, Sridhar, to use both front end and back end. We cannot have a project with just front end or just back end. It will be useless. So that is why we need both. And we also need a database. So we need 3 components: front end, back end, and database. Okay. So make sure that everybody in your team, however many members you are, doesn't matter if you're 3 people or 5 people or 10 people, the number of features are going to be 2 per person. So if you're 10 members, 20 features. If you're 5 members, 10 features. Okay. So for every single feature, you should create something like this. Okay. For every single feature, you should write something like this in the project report. Okay. For every single feature, you should write something like this in the project report. So if you are making 6 features, 3 members, 6 features, make sure you put 3 members, like 6 features there. If you're 4 members, make sure you put 8 features, and so on and so on. So 2 per member. Uday, this is the requirements part only. This is going in the report. You have to only submit one document, which is the report. We are not expecting separate submissions from everyone. One report will be submitted by one team, and everybody can upload the same report basically. So all the team members will together create one report. That same report will be submitted by everybody in the team. So all 3 or 5 of you, depending on how many people there are in the team, all of you will submit the same report. Okay, all of you will submit the same report. So instead of your requirements, which are given in the sample document like this one, okay, you can also use this format. It is the same thing. You can see there are descriptions written here also. So you can also refer to this one, but I'm expecting the feature along with one detail each, like one line, two lines each. Again, Abdul, if you're not able to see the team details, the team is probably working on it. Please give us some time. They should reflect. Okay, if you have submitted the form, we have received it. You might not see the results just yet. Okay, we'll figure it out. Right. Regarding the abstract submission, again, it is due on Thursday. So we will send you an email with the link so that you can submit. Worry about creating the abstract first. Don't worry about submitting it. Okay, that will be taken care of. You focus on how do you create it. Submission will happen. Okay, we'll send you an email with a link to submit, just like we are sending assignment links to you. In a similar way, we'll send you an email, and you will then have to submit it. So focus on preparing it first. Okay, submission will happen, no problem. Okay. Regarding the submission of the project, so as far as I know, the submission is going to be April last week. Okay. By the end of April, you have to submit this project which you are building. So the abstract, the project report, as well as the project final code submission, everything will happen by the end of April. Okay. By the end of April, everything needs to be submitted. Right? That is those are the timelines. Yes, abstract is just 2, 3 paragraphs. Niharika, I have shown you, right? This is what your abstract should look like. That's it. It should not exceed 1 page, just 2, 3 paragraphs, and along with a few key features. That is what you should submit in your abstracts. Anusha, again, so please reach out to the team for this. I can't help you with that problem. I don't have access to that backend, so I can't really check if you're a part of a team or not. Please reach out to the support team. They will help you out. Yes, Uday. So a basic plagiarism check will happen. Uh, but yes, again, so please try to make sure that whatever you keep is relevant to your project. That's it. You don't worry too much about all of that. Yes. So again, for everybody who is still asking this question, please make sure that your abstract is a one-page document which looks something like what you see on the screen right now. It will contain 2 to 3 paragraphs about the project that you're building, along with 4 to 5 key features. Okay. So this is it. This is everything that you need for an abstract. Okay, this is everything you need for the abstract. The abstract will have to be submitted by Thursday, correct? So you need to submit this abstract based on the project title that you have chosen by Thursday. Again, everybody in the team must submit the same abstract. It should not happen that 5 different people in the same team are submitting 5 different abstracts. Okay. So whatever you create, the abstract, you have to submit it by Thursday, and everybody in the team will submit the same abstract. Okay. Again, the submission links we will give you. Don't worry. We have 4 days: tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. We will send you the link on email. In Wednesday's session, I will give you the link in the session also. Okay, don't worry. I will give you the submission link. You can please focus on creating the abstract. Keep it ready. Okay, keep it ready by Wednesday. In the session on Wednesday, I will give you the link. You can submit it then. Make sure it is ready till then. Okay. The timeline for the entire project submission, which is the report along with the code submission, is going to be 1 month. That's April last week. So by the end of April, you are required to submit the entire project by building all the features. Right. And yes, obviously, Deepak, you have to write your own code. That is why we have had 20 sessions. Right. We have covered programming because you will create a project. Right. So yes, you have to write your own code, obviously. Right? Okay, done. Now I've told you how to create the abstract bit. I've told you how to create the first part of the project and also the second part of the project, that is 2.1. Okay. Any questions in this? Abdul, if you don't submit abstract, you cannot start working on the project. So yes, it is important to submit. It is a one-page document. It will hardly take 10 minutes to make. So sit with your team, spend 10-15 minutes, get it done. Very simple. Right? Okay, so now coming to the next part. In the report, the next part that we have is existing versus proposed. Gayatri, you don't have to worry about the submission dates in that features. That is for, it was a client project. I just wanted to show you that you have to write description. Okay, you have to write description. So for every, every feature, you just have to write a description. That's it. Okay, that's the idea. Yes, you can create an abstract in Google document. No problem. You can do that. Yes. Sridhar, everybody should upload it because it will be like an assignment. So everybody must upload the abstract, but it should be the same one. So everybody in the team should upload the same abstract. Okay, so create one and everybody will upload the same thing because we have to track it for everybody. And everybody must submit it. So we have to track that for everybody. So yes, everybody can submit the same document, but um, separately from your own accounts. Okay, done. I answered all the other questions as well. Yes, so again, I've shown you an example of an abstract, right? This is what an abstract looks like. So this is what you have to submit. It contains a quick introduction to the project along with the key features that you're going to have in the project. Okay. So again, these features will depend on the number of people. Like I said, 2 features per person. And then this is a quick introduction to the project. 2 to 3 paragraphs is more than enough. So the abstract that you submit will be a single page document. And again, the link for the submission I will give you on Wednesday. You can submit it. The deadline for this is going to be Thursday. So by Thursday, you should have submitted the abstracts for the projects. Yes, Kirti, I've noted it down. I'll let the team know. They'll look at the links. There is no minimum page as such criteria for the abstract, but whatever is mentioned in the index, all of this must be there. So you should have an introduction section, you should have a system analysis section, you should have the design, you should have implementation and testing. So all of these sections must be there, right? So roughly on an average, the abstract will be around 50 pages. Roughly on an average, it will be around 50 pages long. On an average, I'm saying sometimes if you have 10 people in the team, it will be longer. If you have only 3 people, it could be a little shorter than that, but approximately it will be 50 pages or so. Yes, Arvind. So you have to add your description also and the key features also. Both of these you have to submit for the abstract. Both. No, there's no problem as such with that. Right. What I will do is I will also attach this sample abstract. I will put this in the repository as well so that you can refer to it if you want to. So I'll just upload this as a PDF as well. Let me just do that right away. So in case you want to refer to it, you can refer to this one as well. So done. I have uploaded the abstract as well for your reference. So you can edit this document by adding your own abstract. It is available at the over here under session 9 project abstract. It's in the same main file folder structure. Also, please make sure you submit a document. We don't want handwritten abstracts. So just create a Word document on your system and submit a PDF. Don't write it on a piece of paper and then take a photo. Please do none of that. We are digital now. So please put a digital document. Don't write it on a piece of paper and then take a photo. Don't do all of that. Just go ahead and submit a digital copy directly. So you can use Google Docs, Microsoft Word, whatever you want to create it, but submit a digital copy. Now, don't write it down on a piece of paper. That is not needed, right? Any other questions regarding abstracts? Let me just answer those quickly, then we can continue. Any other questions regarding abstract? No further questions on abstract. Perfect. So please go ahead and again, so when it comes to submission of the abstract, everybody in the team, no matter if you're a team leader or not, everybody has to submit it from their own accounts, right? So we will take the abstract as an assignment or something like that. Everybody has to submit it. It can be the same document coming from one team, but it has to be uploaded by everybody individually. I hope that answers the submission question. One page is what you're talking about by Thursday, Kirti. The report is due by April end. So right now you're only focusing on one page abstract. The final report needs to be submitted by end of April. Any format is fine. You can upload a Word document also or a PDF also. It will be fine. Yes, the single page has to be submitted by Thursday. And again, I will share the submission details on Wednesday. So in the next session, I will share the submission details and you can submit it by Thursday. Perfect. Now let us move to the next part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a link, and this is the project that I am going to build in the next, hopefully in the next 2 sessions, right? So I just want you to take 5 minutes to explore this link. Okay. I will put the link in the chat. I want you to spend 5 to 10 minutes, just browse the website and figure out all the different parts. Then what I want you to do is in the chat, write all the major sections that you identify on this page. Okay. I've mentioned the link in the chat. I am putting the same thing in YouTube live as well. What I want you to do is I will give you a few minutes. I want you to go to this website and I want you to spend 5 to 10 minutes on this. Try to identify all the major sections that you can from this website and put them in the chat. Once you identify everything, just number it 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1 home, 2 this, 3 that, whatever it is, just number them and you can put them in the chat. So yes, I've given you the link in the chat. I've sent it a lot of times. Please scroll and find it if you can't find it. Otherwise, it is also on the screen. I will also put it on the screen for you. This is the link that we are looking at. So in case you can't see the link in the chat, this is the link here. I want you to go to this website and I want you to spend some time on it to identify all the key components that you can. Once you identify them, please put them in the chat. The link is here right now on the screen. I'll just come back in 5 minutes and we'll continue. The time is up. I hope you were able to visit that website. Now in the chat, let me know quickly what are some of the major features that you're able to identify. So I'll just give you 2 minutes. You can type it in the chat and let me know. The city choice one, we have different buttons for different cities. So based on wherever you are, whichever city you are from, you can choose that city. Sounds right. Autoplay of all videos. Yes, good. This is Surya Chandra. Good observation. So some browsers don't actually support it, but there are ways to get it done. But if you notice in all the major headers in all cities, not on the main page, but on all individual cities, you will see that the videos will autoplay. So as soon as you visit that page, it will automatically start playing the video. So yes, autoplay of videos is there, definitely. Review section. Yes, there's the review section. Let me actually just open it up. So this is the header, right? This is where we have the header, event details, some statistics. And then here we have the about the event section, right? So this is where we have cards for different things. So we have 6 such cards. Then we have a sort of a gallery thing where we have some highlights from previous events, right? And then we have a review section, as you can see down here. So yes, this is the review section. And finally, at the end, we have a host thing, right? So if you want to host an event, for example, let's say if somebody wants to host it, then they can apply for it or get in touch with the team. And finally, we have the event section. So this is your FAQ section. This is where we have all the questions. And then there is the footer. So these are all the major sections. I hope you've identified all of these. So typically what happens is when you start working on a project, you will create a very basic version of this. I usually call it a low-fi wireframe. We also call it a pen paper wireframe or a sketch. So what that means is you will be just take a pen and a paper, and what you do is you sketch it out. So if I give you a simple example on the screen right now, there you go. So I'm just opening a whiteboard for now. I'll just give you a very simple example. Okay. So let us assume that this is our web page. So we can sketch it out like this, and right, this is our web page. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and we can make some sections. So for example, here is the header image and we have some content here. So we can just put it like this. And then there are some statistics. So this is stat 1, stat 2, stat 3. Okay. Then we end this section. Then we move to the next section. So here we might have city selection, for example. So we have several buttons for different cities wherever the events are happening. So these are buttons, right? So the idea is for you, this is not required for submission. This is just for you to understand what are you going to build. Okay, so before we actually start building the final product or the final project, we typically build or create something like this. So this is known as a wireframe. I'm sure you might have heard of that term before. It is called a wireframe. So again, this is not required for submission. We don't want it in the project report. But what I recommend is you create something like this internally within your team, all right, so that you have an understanding of where this is going, so that you are able to understand where this is going. Now, for this, you can use a couple of tools. You can use pen paper if you want to, but there are better tools available for this. So the most useful tool, the simplest to use, the free tool that is available is Canva. Okay, so as you can see, this is Canva. This is what that looks like. So all the slides that I am using in the presentation, I'm making it here only. Okay. So they have a website section on website design. So here you can see they have a lot of templates also. So whatever you have for your project, you can find something similar and you can design it. You can see this looks like an e-commerce store of a sort, right? So you can just click on that and it's free. Most of these designs are free to use. So you can go ahead and you can customize it. So you can replace this image, change the links, all of that. So this is Canva, Canva, canva.com. So again, I'll put the link in the chat. Okay, I've put the link in the chat on Zoom. I'm also putting this on YouTube Live as well. So Canva is a design tool. I really like it. It's really easy to use. But then again, it is not professionally used. For professionals, we have another tool called Figma. So I think Venki is talking about this only in the chat. Okay. So the tool is called Figma. And again, Figma is a professional wireframing tool. So you can see this is one of my designs, right, that I designed for a client. So this is how you can design it. This is just design. There is no code. This is just design, right? So you can see it's a full-fledged application. As you can see, everything opens up, everything works as you would expect. So this is what a wireframe, a final wireframe looks like on Figma. But again, I don't want you to go through so much effort. You don't have to make everything, right? What you can do is you can make a very simple minimal design using Canva. So that is the wireframe that you have to create. Now that you have the design with you, then you can actually start with the coding. Let me just see if I can share it again. I think the screen was not visible when I showed you the Figma part. Let me just open it up. So since I do freelancing, I do design as well professionally at times. So I need to use Figma to build wireframes. So what you see on the screen right now, this is a mobile application and this is the final design. If I show you the original design, this is the first version, the pen paper thing that I told you, right? We call it pen paper sketch. So this is what that pen paper sketch looks like. It's a very minimal design, just showing, highlighting different parts or sections of the project, right? So this is how the whole thing will look like. And again, we have everything. We have the profile basic setup. We have all the basic designs in place. Then we spend some more time on this. We decide the colors to use, fonts to use, content to put out, all of that. And that brings us here to the final screen, hi-fi screen. So this is what that looks like. Again, we first create that lo-fi design, which looks like this, and then we convert it to something like this. This is the final design. We call it hi-fi design or wireframe. So once we have this wireframe is then handed over to the developer. This wireframe is given to the development team. And then this is what the development team works with. So they take this design and they write the code to build it. So the developer, which is your responsibility once you join the company, will be to get the wireframe from the design team, the UI UX designer, and they will then give you the wireframe. And then you have to create your project or build it using code. So none of this is code. This is all boxes and circles and rectangles. This is not code. Then you write the code based on this design. And so that is what wireframing looks like. But again, you don't have to create such an extensive wireframe. You can just make a simple one. So I'll close this off now. We don't really need it. And that brings us back to here. So comparatively, this design is a lot less difficult to implement. It's actually pretty simple, right, in terms of the components that we have. And again, we have repetition also. So this is where I wanted to show you the use of props. So we build one version of this and then we use props to build the rest of these out. So we'll try to build this using React. That is going to be our front end task, right? And then we'll create a simple admin panel sort of a backend where we have options to, let's say, add a new city, stuff like that. So we'll try to do all of that. Yes, we can map the card component exactly. Now, before we jump into the project, there are two other things I want to show you. These are also resources that are available. The first resource, as we have already seen, is Bootstrap. So we have something called getbootstrap.com. Okay. So this is where we can go ahead and we can include it. So include via CDN. We can copy these two things and that way, right, we get access to Bootstrap in React. The other documentation is called Material UI. Okay, so Material UI is specifically made for React. So you can see all of these components on the right hand, like this drop down, this checkbox, this search button. All of these are ready to use components that we have available in Material UI. So Material UI is one option. And then of course, you can see this is dynamic. These ratings are dynamic, right? So this is one option. And then of course, the Bootstrap setup is another option. So you can use any one of them for your project. Okay, this will save a lot of time for you. You don't have to create everything from scratch. Instead, what you can do is you can just use Bootstrap or Material UI. Venki, if you have experience with Tailwind, you can implement it. It is not easy for freshers to understand, so I'm not recommending it. But if you have any other experience, Chakra UI, if you want to use anything else, please feel free to. There is no restriction on what you can use over here. But I suggest if you have just started learning web development, you use one of these two. You can either use Bootstrap or Material UI. Those are two recommendations from my side. I am going to use Bootstrap primarily. I'm not going to use Material UI because of the fact that this is a custom design. Right? If I were to create a new design from scratch, then Material UI basically is better because you have ready-made components. right? So if you want to use their components directly, you can use that. But in my case, since the design is very custom, we can use our own setup. So this is the setup in terms of the front end. Coming to how the backend will work, we will not implement a payment gateway, Arvind. But if you notice here in this case, what happens is, as soon as you click on the payment link, it directs you to Razorpay. So I have integrated Razorpay payment gateway. So that is a very simple thing to implement. Actually, they give you all the ready-made code. You just have to replace it with the key value combination and you can implement it. So how it works is whenever you want the payment to be made, the user is actually taken to their platform. Like you can see, right? We go to that platform, pages.razorpay.com. And after you complete the payment successfully, it will take you back to the same page from where you made the payment. So you will come back over here. This is how payment gateway will work. Typically, this is what we do. We use a ready-made template, or we use a ready-made payment gateway, something like Razorpay, Paytm, Citrus Pay. There are so many options that are available. So they give us the ready-made code. We just have to implement it and follow their instructions on how to make the API calls. So we send the post API to their server. That API will process the payment and respond to us. And based on that, we will understand whether the payment was successful or not. That is all that we have in that case. So that is your payment gateway setup. I hope that answers the question. I think Venki is sharing another resource with us. It is Prime React. I think this is also another UI toolkit. So if you want to use this as well, please feel free to. This looks good as well, actually. And this looks pretty good as well. So you can go ahead and use this if you want to as well. But yes, I think there will be payment at some point here. These are free to use, so good enough. You can see it's a good setup. There are some pretty good looking things for free. So yes, you can definitely check this out as well. Right. So yes, thank you so much, Venki, for sharing this. This is primereact.org. The link is already available in the chat, right? Perfect. So again, if you can explore any other library if you want to. You are free to use anything that you want. No problem. The only concern, the only requirement I have is that you try to build something on your own. Don't copy paste everything from some other project. Try to create something on your own. That way you will also get to learn something new and you'll also get to understand how everything works, right? So again, today we are going to start off with the React part of this. So before we again jump to the code, what I want you to do, I want you to help me out with is figuring out the components for this. So I'm going to go back to the home page. And what I want you to do is to help me figure out all the React components. Remember how we did this earlier also? The first step that we did in React was to identify all the major components of the website. So here is the website. I have it on the screen. I will scroll through it section by section. So I think let's start with this section. What I want you to do is to identify all the components in this section. I will give you access to the annotation so that you can sketch it out. So I will just give you access to that. Yes, I have enabled annotations for you. So you can just go ahead and try to sketch. Again, keep it specific to the component only. Let's not play around with it. But yes, the output is on the screen. If we just take this section, if we just take this section, for instance, so what are all the different components that you can identify in this one? So again, try to keep your drawings precise to the component. I will delete it if it is not relevant. So I'll wait for 2 minutes, then I'll tell you what components I think of, right? Good. So this is one component. Then the entire card can be one component. Fair enough. And then we can reuse that. So we can reuse the card component several times. How about the entire thing? Can the entire thing also be one component? It can be, right? So this entire thing, right from this what about all the way to all these 6 cards till basically till here. This entire thing can be the whole thing. So yes, let me now delete everything. And yes, so now let me show this to you once again. So what we can have first of all is that the entire thing can be one component, right? So if I just zoom out here, then this entire thing, right, is one component. I've just zoomed out so we can see the whole thing in one picture, but it should be zoomed in. It looks better that way. This is one. Okay. Then this top section can be one component. So this part can be one component. And then each of these cards can be a single component. We can reuse it 6 times. We can reuse the same card component 6 times. So this is how we can go ahead and set this up. This is the React structure. So again, once you identify a wireframe kind of a thing for your own website, for your own project, then you should also spend some time identifying these various components. Once you identify these components, then you will get a clarity on what kind of a React code are we trying to create. What kind of a React code are we trying to create, right? So I hope you have gotten an understanding of the different types of components that we are looking at. And we'll have similar things for everywhere, right? All sections everywhere, we will have such components. Of course, we will not have time to make everything, but I try to make this one with you. So this part we'll make together, and then we'll work on the backend, and this data can come from the backend. So the number of cards can change, the data can change, all of that can come from the backend. Now let us go ahead and set up our project. So I'm going to open up VS Code and let's open a new folder. So I'm opening today's session folder where I have kept the PPT as well. And here I'm going to run the React app command. So we already know the command by now. That's npx create React app, and then let's call it front. I'm calling it front end, and I have just hit enter. This will create a new front end folder for us, as you can see, and then it will install all the relevant packages that we require. Done. Now I'm going to delete everything that we don't need. So this readme is not needed. Then within source, I will delete everything except for index.js. So I'll delete the whole thing. Then in public, I will delete everything except for index.html. Actually, I'll keep robots.txt as well. So I'll delete everything else. And let's remove all the unnecessary code as well. So from index.html, let's remove everything that we don't need. Right? So this is everything that we don't need. There's a lot of code that is just there, which is commented out. So we can remove this as well. And finally, let's go to index.js and do the same thing. So I'm going to delete the strict mode here as well, and then delete this as well. Done. So here we can just put h1 and let's just say h1. And for now, let's say about. So this is done. Bare minimum setup is done. Now what we can do is we can start this. So again, let's open up the terminal. The command is npm start. This should pull up the application for us, but first we have to cd into the front end folder. So cd front and then npm start. As soon as you do this, you can see it opens the application in the browser. And right now we only have a single heading h1. Now, based on our component structure, what we can do is we can go ahead and create all the separate components. So this card will become one component. This part will become one component, and the entire container will become one component. So let me structure it. Let's say components, for example, right? Now, what do we have here? Well, we can have, first of all, this is about the event. So I'll call it about the event.js. This is the outer container, the whole thing, right? Then I'll create one more component called event card or about event card, which is going to be the details of the event. And then I'll create one more component, which is going to be the about top or about header. You can call it whatever you want. Say about.js. Let's put this in quickly. So again, I'm going to use my shortcuts. So IMR FFC. This is about, so about header is done. Then let's return, I think it's h3 first of all, but this will be a div actually. So within that, we can then put the individual details. And if you notice here, we have three things. So this is one, what is poetry house party? This can be an h3, I think, right? Then under that, we have h2. I think I'll keep this as h2 about the event. And then under this, we can have the paragraph. So I'll copy that and paste it here. Let's change the view to water and done. So let's make sure that everything is spaced out properly and we are good. So this is our paragraph. And now let's check the output. Nothing will change because we have not changed anything in the index. So in the index, we want to call this component, which is about the event. This is the overall thing, right? The outermost wrapper, where you see this background also has been applied. You can see there's a background which has these Hindi letters and stuff like that. That is the actual background applied to the entire page. If you see, right, the entire body has that background. So we'll work on that later on. But for now, let's put that in. So that is about the event. And I'll simply put a div or a section also. This can also be a section. And within this, we can then call the about header. And then in the index, we can call this one. So here, let's put that in about the event and done. Now we should be able to see those three things, paragraph heading and this one. Perfect. We see that on the screen. So far, so good. Then we have the event card. So for this, we are going to use props. So we'll make a generic card first. So it can be a div. It contains an image, then it contains H3, H4, and then a paragraph. So let's put that in. That is about event card. Again, import React, then FFC about event card, and then this will be a div. This can also be article. You can also use article tag if you want to, but I'll stick to a div. So image source, this is one thing. Then we'll also have alt for the event, and that's the image. Then we have an H4 where we have this thing, the art circle. Again, I'm just putting dummy data for now, and we'll replace it with props. So let's put props here. Now, how do we put props? We can destructure them because we only have two things. So image URL, then we have the, let's say, alt text, then we have the title, and then we have the description. So these are the four things that we need. Let's put that into use. So image URL goes first, then the alt text will go, then the title will go over there, and finally the description will go at the end. So this will also be in curly brackets and done. So we've made a generic reusable event card now. Then what we can do is we can call it several times after the header about event card. We can call it a bunch of times. But first, let's also put those things in. So we need to put these four values. Let me just take those and paste them here, and we'll put them in one by one. So I'll just use the actual definition. Later on, what we will do is we'll replace this with values coming from the database. So the descriptions and everything can come from the database, and we can replace them on the front end. For now, I will just copy the image address. Actually, not a video, but a GIF. So what you see here is a GIF actually. It is not a video. This part, there is a video at the top here, which is this one, but this is actually a GIF. So this I will copy and paste it in the description into word wrap and done. So this is everything for one event. If we check the output now, we should have one event on the screen, as you can see. Again, we haven't styled it just yet, but this is available. And similarly, what we can do is we can copy it and paste it 5, 6 times for all the events, and you can see it shows up. Now, of course, we can also go ahead and apply our CSS. So we can create one more folder called styles where we can have all CSS. So let's say about event CSS or about.css. You can call it whatever you want. Then let's give these classes. So section ID about the event. This is the outermost container. Right? Then about header can get an ID, or we can give it inside. I suggest we do it within the element, right? So let's give this one an ID of about header, and then we can access it through this ID. Finally, here, since it is going to be multiple things, we can give it a class. So class name is event card. You can also call it about event card to be more precise. So about event card. And then we have to import this CSS over here. So we can say import dot slash or dot slash, go out one step, go into the styles folder, and from there get about event dot CSS. So we're importing the CSS file. So now we can go ahead and style it. So can you tell me which CSS style should we use to change the display of those to one line? We have 6 things in one, 3 things in one line here, right? This one. How do we change that display? Flex, perfect. So we can either use the flex box or we can then use Bootstrap. So now I'll quickly show you Flexbox, and then in the next session, we'll also take a look at the Bootstrap part. Now here you will notice that the event cards are actually not in any container. So what we can do is we can create another container for it. So we can say div and give it a class name or an ID, whatever you want to call it, and call it all event cards or all about event cards, either way, right? Because we want to put them in a flex. If we put the flex entirely, then even the headings and all will become flex. So we don't want the header to be flex. We want this to be after the header only for the event cards. So this is an ID, we use hash, and then display can be changed to flex. As soon as we do this, we should see the output that we are looking at. You can see now all 6, 7, whatever I have show up in one row. This is not exactly what we want though. So we can set the flex wrap to wrap. And then we also have to limit individual width. Okay, that is very important. Otherwise, this will not work. About events card. For each card, we can reduce the width to about say 27%, 28%, something like this. And now you can see we get much closer to the desired output. We can also put justify content center, and that should center the whole thing for us. And then within this about event card, we can say text align center. And then we can also style this one about the event, the whole thing there, hash, and then justify, sorry, text align center. So this way everything will be centered and we can remove this one. Done. You can see it looks much closer. Of course, not exactly the same, but much closer to the output. And we can say justify. Actually, we can just say space around probably looks space evenly. I think around will be better, I guess. Yes, around is better. So yes, we get this kind of a structure, which is what resembles our output as well. Now, of course, all we have to do is to modify the width and the spacing and the other styles as well. But you can see we get very close to achieving that output, right? So this is what we have in terms of the styling for this, right? Now, so this is it for today. Now I think I has joined from the team. Since you're asking again a lot of project questions, I have just asked them to join. So please discuss it with them and figure out whatever doubts you might have. We'll continue working on this project in the next session itself. So yes, what I would request everybody to do is to please put all your project related questions in the chat. We're asking a lot of questions regarding the timelines and submissions and how to submit and team details and this and that. So whatever questions you had, please put them in the chat now, right? And somebody from the team will join in and they will help you out with those questions. So let's just wait for a minute for them to join. Until then, you can just put your questions in the chat.
Hi everyone, good evening. Just please type your questions in the chat box. I'll answer these questions. Abdul, just please write a query to the tap@blackbugs.me. We'll solve your queries tomorrow. Just wait now. Three members are enough. Minimum three and max 7 members. You have to write your abstract. We can't send your abstract. Just wait for confirmation mails. We'll send now only. You can change the team name now. No, you can't change the team name. Once you write the one name, it will be fixed. Arvind, if you want to remove a team lead, you can't remove. But if you want to remove a member in the team, you can remove. I'll send a hackathon ID to your mails. Just go to that hackathon ID. We'll assign mentors to Ashita. We'll assign mentors from tomorrow and they'll help you. No issue. Those who didn't find your data in the project name, just please write your query to the tap@blackbugs.me. You will get an answer tomorrow. Devika, which mail did you mail? We'll test the assignment links and know. I'll tell my team to check your queries tomorrow. Once you form a group, we can't change. Preeti, just leave the group now. Just leave the chat if you're not interested in queries. How to see team details? We'll be updating in your mails. Please check your mail. You are not unable to remove your team members. I let my team to check the tap@blackbugs.me mail tomorrow. So anyone who wrote your queries to tap dot, you will get your queries tomorrow. No issues, right? Okay, Madhusuda Reddy, write your query to the tap@blackbugs.me. Assignment, please listen. Assignment, daily tests, and monthly employabilities are compulsory to take. Project is mandatory for everyone. If you can't attend that daily test, we can't give you a certificate. Just please note that. There is no option to remove member. You have to continue with that member only. Whoever wrote your queries to tap, you will get the answers tomorrow. No, I let my team to give you answers. If you have 2 members also, no issue, we'll contact you. I will update my daily testing. Last date for abstract submission is Thursday. So if you have any queries regarding that, please mail to tap. I'll make sure they'll reply to you tomorrow. We'll send a sample document for abstract. Yeah, if you're only 3 members, no issue. Please fill the feedback form. Please write your queries to the tap mail. I'll make sure your queries are solved by tomorrow. If not, I can attend class on Wednesday also. Thank you, everyone.